What's up, y'all? Steven here, aka Bike Bonk Biff. Thank you for tuning in. We have a juicy one here today, so you know what? Let's just dive right into it. This is the SISU Pinkki race series, stage 1 on the big ring, 7 stages total, Saturdays and Tuesdays, runs alongside the Giro d'Italia. Today we are riding the big ring, almost all flat until the last quarter of the race. A nice punchy climb through the Mayan ruins. You can see why they call it the big ring. 30 miles, 883 feet of climbing. Pretty darn tough with this mass start. It's kind of nice because you can draft with the mass start, but they will attack over and over again. For some extra motivation, we're riding with our buddy Manuel. Make sure to give them a sub. They're super strong, and without them, we would not have placed where we were. Beginning huge efforts, and this pushes us through the Fuego Flat portion of the race. It's always very slippery here because of how flat it is, and lo and behold, we get our attack right before the first banner. This isn't too out of the ordinary, to be perfectly honest, and I think the riskiest spot is right here. There's a little bump here in the Tempest bit. If you're in the back here and out of position, you can see how split things are because attack number 3 comes right after that. So if you had to bust to get back on the group and then you have another attack you've got to counter here, you're just going to be destroyed. I played this really well and my heart rate's already at 180 BPM. And then right before you exit, another attack that makes 4 total in less than 6 miles. And I'm worried because, quite frankly, this is the easiest part of the race, but these guys just keep going and going and going. We are then led to Evergreen Coast. Again, primarily flat, but there's a lot of punchy little climbs here. Now, I don't usually get afraid of these punchy climbs, but this 5th attack comes right after the first punchy climb. I have to use my featherweight just to make sure that I stay on. It was a good thing I had it, because if we would have been dropped, we're not even close to our goal of being at mile 18 with the first group. The next attack comes right after the sprint banner. A little bit of a weird spot because there's a downhill section here. So it was really just painful for the legs. I wasn't really worried about being dropped, but you have to keep pushing to stay with the group. Attack number 7 comes after this banner. I again have a nice little power up going just to stay with the group, but this is a strong move right before the tunnel that leads us into the next section. And that section is going to be the sandy shores. It's a lot less punchy than where we just were, but still, it's right before the Mayan ruins, and that's where we're ultimately trying to get it. 8th attack comes right after the tunnel. There's a little bit of a punch leading out of it. A lot of people popping their feathers, which pushes forward the group even more, and you can see the dots in the top right, those are all red. That's our A riders. They're pushing hard. They want to drop everybody. And shortly after that regroup, we get a 9th attack. The A riders counter. The B riders have to push their butts off just to stay with them. It's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And coming up, when we're about to approach the 3rd sprint of this section, this is when I think I'm certainly toast. My heart rate's been sitting at like 185 this entire time. You can see the group's really starting to split here. And luckily, as we go through this banner, I get a feather, and there's a little bit of a kick up. I use this feather, and I'm able to just barely get back on. I'm the last rider in the group, pushing as hard as I can, standing up, and we make it. And that brings us to the Mayan Jungle. This is where those A-plus riders are finally, hopefully, going to split from everybody else. We achieved our race goal. We made it to this point with the front group, and now it's just drafting this climb as much as we can. It is gravel. This segment is only for the first half, so it's a little bit longer than it actually is. There we go. Attack 11. That's all it took. 11 attacks and a gravel climb. And the A-plus riders were there on our own. You can see there's a few B riders that are there as well, but we're all working together really well. And we start to pick up some stragglers here and there. And as we finally get to the tarmac, we've got a nice group here. It looks like there's only 3 or 4 A riders that are ahead of us. So we get a couple little digs here and there. I'm just motivated not to get dropped because we just did all this work. We're in a nice little group and we're finally here. We made it and we get what I think is going to be a short rest. Next section I kind of call the Volcano and Downtown section. Now that we're in our own group, you would think we're all going to work together. We're not going to be pushed too much, but no. Tech number 12 comes right on the downhill. Luckily, now that we're kind of in our own group, nobody really pushes at this point. I think we finally are just happy to get a bit of a rest. But once we get to these switchbacks here, that all goes out the window. We start getting strong pushes here and there. It's a false flat, so you don't want to get too disconnected. Definitely have to keep the pedals going. And right when we're about to get to the volcano, our buddy Manuel attacks. And I think that this is it. You know, I make a little bit of a dig here to try and get back with them, but my power numbers aren't nearly as high as what they're outputting. We get some people coming behind us to kind of push up as well. And after talking to Manuel, I know that his legs popped here. And that's the only reason that you can see that we're starting to group back up with them. You get that nice little push out into the volcano. I use that to my advantage, go about as hard as I can, and voila, we're back together and we're still in this race. Attack number 15, kind of see it a lot, it's right before downtown Watopia. I would never recommend attacking here because there's so much of a downhill that there's no way in heck you're gonna get away. And lo and behold, we all come back together, leading us to Fuego Flats Round 2 Sprint Edition. Going up into Fuego Flats, there's this long false flat, kind of over these bridges here. Everybody's playing nice. We all know the sprint's coming. Nobody wants to give more of an effort than they really need to. And just over a mile from the finish, this is where your non-sprinters are going to push. So if you're more of a sprinter, or you at least like those short, intense efforts like I do, it's really important not to lead the group out. You still want to be in the front few riders just in case an attack comes. You can kind of push up with them, but you don't want to stick your nose out too early. You see that snowball effect come through, and now it's time to sprint. Oh man. Oh, our leg rotates. Fair play. My favorite place. Yeah, that race was absolutely insane. You know, I know we placed fourth again, but still, the effort we gave on the race, it was 100% on the segment on Strava, which I didn't even think was possible. The relative effort was the highest for any race we've ever done. We had an FTP increase. We had power PBs from 10 minutes onwards. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So I hope you like this shorter version. If you want to see the whole thing, I'll toss it up on screen, have a link in the description so you can check that out as well. I commentate the entire time even though I can't breathe. So I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing, leaving some comments, and I'll see you later. Cheers.